Trump accounts. If you've got grandkids or you're a parent, this one is for you, because starting in July of 2026, which is actually when I'm recording this, there is a brand new way to put money to work for your kids or your grandkids. And most families have no idea it exists, or if they do, actually how it works. We're getting a lot of questions on this, so I wanted to make a video, and it's obviously called a Trump account. And it's something that's actually been a bipartisan idea for 20 years. And that idea was to give every American child a financial head start from day one. So let's break down what it is, who it's for, and most importantly, whether it's worth your time and money to even look into this. So what it is, a Trump account is a new tax advantage investment account for kids. The official name on paper, you never need to remember this, is a 530A IRA. That's a mouthful, but nobody's going to call it that. Let's just think of it as a cross between an IRA and a 529 plan. It was created by the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, signed into law on July 4th, 2025. And again, it officially goes into effect or went live, depending on when you're watching this, 1 year later on July 4th, 2026. How it works is the money that's inside of this grows tax deferred. It's invested in a fund that tracks the U.S. stock market. One account per child for any kid under 18 with a social security number. Okay? So here's the hook, and this is how this is going to work for a lot of people. And the part that gets everybody's attention, if your child or grandchild was born between January 1st, 2025 and the end of 2028, the federal government drops in $1,000. Free. I don't even want to call it free, but we're going to call it free. They put in $1,000. You don't have to match it. You just have to opt in through a tax form, which we will get to. And it doesn't stop there. The Dell family pledged over $6 billion to add $250 to accounts for millions of kids 10 and under in middle income zip codes. And some states are actually kicking in too. So before you even contribute a single dollar, an eligible child could already be sitting on $1,000 or more invested in the market, compounding for the next 18 years. Okay. The grandparent angle, the reason I mentioned grandparents is, and why I'm aiming at the grandparents listening to this. By the way, if you're not a grandparent, you're a parent, forward this on to your parents. Grandparents or parents can contribute up to $5,000 per year to a grandchild's account every year until they turn 18. And unlike a Roth IRA, the child does not need a job or earned income for you to fund this. There are no income limits on who can contribute. Okay, so lot in there. But let's run the math. $5,000 a year from birth, compounding in the market for 18 years. That is potentially a six-figure gift by the time they're an adult. And that's what I would say is the seed of a retirement account that has 50 years to grow. I'll get back to that in a second. But this is exactly what I talk about when I'm talking about legacy in a lot of our 6-point videos. This could be powerful for you. And before I get into the compounding and how that works, let's talk about the trade-offs and what's the catch here. And I would say that there are a few. Let's just do 3 things to know. So first, during childhood, the money has to sit in a U.S. stock index fund. You cannot pick individual stocks or get fancy with it. So I'm saying that because I know we're going to get a lot of questions on, hey, can we invest in this? Can we do that? You cannot as of right now, okay? It's in a U.S. stock index fund, already chosen. The year your grandchild turns 18, the account converts to a traditional IRA, and they become the owner. And then the investment menu opens way up. We can pick more in an IRA, right? Second, the tax treatment here is not perfect. When the money comes out, the growth is taxed as ordinary income, not the lower capital gains rates you'd get in some other accounts. And your contributions are not always tax deductible while the child or the kid is a minor, okay? Third, the money is locked up. No withdrawals until 18. And once it's in an IRA, pulling it out before age 59 and a half, those rules apply, generally means ordinary income tax plus a 10% penalty. Okay. And they may have RMDs starting at, this would be 75 as it's set right now. It might change 100 times before these kids get to that age. But as of right now, we'll call it 75, just like any other IRA. So this is a retirement vehicle. We need to treat it that way. This is one tool in the toolbox, not the only one. And the key is matching the tool to the goal. A 529 plan is built for college. A custodial Roth is great if your grandchild has a summer job. The Trump account is different. It's built for one thing, and it's built for long-term retirement savings, started as early as birth. So if you are thinking about education or a shorter-term goal, this probably is not the account we should be using. If you're thinking 50 years down the road, it's obviously hard to start anything earlier than this as a retirement account. So the answer to this, and the right answer when I would say what would I do, again, it totally depends. It depends on your family, your goals, your tax picture. It's just a conversation worth having as we head into July and we can start opening these things. So next question I would ask, and then I'll wrap it up after this. How do we actually open one? So let's say you're ready. Here is exactly how to do it. There are currently two doors we can use. The first is the official program portal, the Trump account website. Okay, that's where you register the account, and if your grandchild qualifies, check the status of that $1,000 federal deposit. The second is the IRS. To actually elect your child or grandchild and handle the initial paperwork, you'll sign in with the credentials. I'll skip a lot of this. If you go on the IRS website, you have credentials. If you don't, you need to create them. But on the IRS website, the IRS Trump accounts page, and we need to submit an election form. So again, if you've ever logged into the IRS, you already have an ID. If it's not, you need to create one. It's that same ID you've logged in for everything else. So one important note here for the grandparents. In most cases, it's the parents or the legal guardian who actually open and elect the account. So the smartest move is to coordinate with your kids if you're the grandparent listening, and they handle the setup, and then you can fund it if you want to. So we always talk about retiring and giving without regret. This is definitely one of those situations where it could make sense. So if you've got kids or grandkids and you're wondering how a Trump account fits into the bigger plan, just reach out to us. We'll walk through it together, and I'll leave that there. Make it a great day.
Content here is for illustrative purposes and general information only. It is not legal, tax, or individualized financial advice, nor is it a recommendation to buy, sell, or hold any specific security or engage in any specific trading strategy.
Any discussion of Trump accounts is based on current law and is subject to change. Eligibility, contribution limits, and tax treatment may change. Any examples of projections are hypothetical, provided for illustrative purposes only, and are not guaranteed for future results.
All investing involves risk, including loss of principal. Results will vary. Past performance is no indication of future results or success. Market conditions change continuously. Information here is provided in part by third-party sources. These sources are generally deemed to be reliable. However, neither 6 Point Financial Partners, Private Client Services, nor RFG Advisory guarantee the accuracy of third-party sources. The views expressed here are those of 6 Point Financial Partners. They do not necessarily represent those of Private Client Services, RFG Advisory, their employees, or their clients. This commentary should not be regarded as a description of advisory services provided by 6 Point Financial Partners or RFG Advisory, or performance returns of any client. The views reflected in the commentary are subject to change at any time without notice. Securities offered by registered representatives through Private Client Services. Member FINRA SIPC. Advisory services offered by investment advisory representatives of RFG Advisory LLC, RFG Advisory, or RFG. A registered investment advisor. Private Client Services, 6 Point Financial Partners, and RFG Advisory are unaffiliated entities. Advisory services are only offered to clients or prospective clients where RFG Advisory and its representatives are properly licensed or exempt from licensure. No advisory services may be rendered by RFG Advisory unless a client agreement is in place.